Hi everyone, it's Shannon from the Loophole Fox, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make my summer tote bag. It has a nice long handle that is seamless. Everything is worked in the round, so this handle is worked in the round as well. It's nice and long so it can go over the shoulder. This bag is worked in a tube and then seamed at the bottom, and the body of the bag has an awesome mesh structure that is just stretchy enough to fit things in it if you need to, but is otherwise pretty sturdy. It is also finished off with several rounds of half double crochets just to finish it off and make it nice and sturdy. So if you're ready to get started, grab your yarn and hook and let's get to it. What you'll need to make this bag is 2 colors of yarn for the two-toned bag. I love this yarn in the colorway Sungold. It is a medium 4 weight, and I also have I love this yarn in Ivory. You will also need a 5mm hook. I have my Furls Streamline Swirl here. You'll also need a pair of scissors and some stitch markers. A stitch marker does come in handy later for the handles, so I would have one handy. So to get started creating this bag, we need to go ahead and chain 100, and we're going to slip stitch to the first chain made to form a circle to work in that will be the basis of our tube that will end up making the bag. So we want to go ahead and do that chain 100. You want to make sure that these chains don't twist, so you can just chain and slip stitch it to the first chain, but I also have a quick tip that I can show you that I use when I'm doing long chains that need to be formed into a circle. So we're going to go ahead and remove our hook, find the first chain made and insert the hook into that chain, leave it on the hook, and then insert the hook back into the working yarn. So from here, what's going to happen now is you can see it has a little loop, and I'm continuing to chain, and that loop is getting larger and larger. This is just going to ensure that my chain doesn't twist as I'm working. So if I set this down and I pick it up later, that chain won't twist. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue chaining 100, and then I will see you at the end and I'll show you how to close this if you're using the same method I use. So you can see I have my 100 chains now. They're both on the edge of my hook here. And I'm just going to pull that working loop through that first chain. So I only have one loop on my hook now. And you can see that my chains haven't twisted, aside from me twisting them to show you a little bit. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on to round 1. Round 1 is pretty straightforward. We're going to go ahead and chain 2, and starting in the very first stitch, we're going to place 1 half double crochet. We're going to continue placing 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So at the end of your round, you should have 100 half double crochet. Okay, so I've finished my 100 half double crochets. We want to go ahead and slip stitch this to close, but before we do, fold your work in half and make sure that it lays flat against each other, so there's no twists or anything going on. And when you're satisfied, go ahead and slip stitch to the first half double crochet to close. You can pull that slip stitch really tight and it will help make sure that that seam is less noticeable. So we're going to go ahead and move on to round 2. We're going to go ahead and chain 2, and again we're going to place 1 half double crochet in the very first stitch. I've scooted you down so you can see a little better here, that first stitch. And then we're going to place 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. At the end of this round you should still have 100 stitches. We're going to work 6 rounds like this. So go ahead and work 6 rounds of half double crochet, and when you're done, I will meet you at our first pattern repeat to make the mesh of the body. See you there. So I'm just finishing round 6 here. I'm putting my last half double crochet of the round in, and I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to close. Doing these rounds of half double crochets creates a nice solid base for the bag so that nothing falls out the bottom and we don't have a complete mesh structure. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start a pattern repeat, and this is going to be considered an A row and a B row. So we'll start with an A row and go to a B row, so on and so forth. We'll keep working that upward. So to get started on the A row, what you're going to want to do is, of course, reintroduce your hook, chain 2, and we're going to work what's called a double crochet cluster in the first stitch, the same stitch that we chained out of. So what we want to do is yarn over, find that first stitch, insert our hook into the stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now instead of finishing the double crochet, we're going to go ahead and yarn over, insert our hook back into the same stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. We now have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3, and you have a 2 double crochet cluster. Now we want to chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to put another double crochet cluster in the stitch following. So again, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, so there's your second double crochet cluster. For this round, we're going to do a repeat of chain 1, skip 1, and put a double crochet cluster in the next stitch. So once again, yarn over, pull up a loop for 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the same stitch and pull up a loop, 4 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, and you have another double crochet cluster. So repeat this around, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet cluster in the next until you reach the end of the round. At the end of the round, you should have 2 stitches remaining. You'll put 1 double crochet cluster in the first stitch, chain 1, and skip the last stitch. I'm going to work my round and I'll meet you around to the close so I can show you. Right, so I'm at the end. I have 3 stitches left. I've done a chain 1, skip 1, and I'm going to put a double crochet cluster in that middle stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to skip 1, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the double crochet cluster to close, not the chains. So into the top of that double crochet cluster, pull that tight, and your first round is complete. You can see the pattern starting to work itself out now. So we're going to move on to our next round. This is round 8, and this is considered a B row. So we're going to go ahead and chain 3. We're chaining 3 this time because we want the third chain to act as a chain 1 space. We'll have a double crochet cluster in the chain 1 space at the end of the round, and those 2 chains will sandwich. So now we want to find the chain 1 space between the 2 clusters from below and work a double crochet cluster into that chain 1 space. So of course we're yarning over, inserting into the chain 1 space, yarning over, pulling up for 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the same space, 4 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So you'll notice that space there. That's meant to be there, so don't worry. They will sandwich against a cluster at the end of the round. So we'll chain 1 and find the next chain 1 space and place a double crochet cluster. We're going to continue this around, chaining 1 and then putting a double crochet cluster in the chain 1 space from the previous round. So yarn over, insert hook, pull through 2, yarn over, insert hook, pull up a loop, 4 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Repeat this around, putting a double crochet cluster in each chain 1 space. Repeat that around to the end, and I'll meet you at the other side so I can show you how to close this round. I'll see you there. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of round 8. Again, this is the B round. I've put my cluster in my chain 1, so I'm going to put another cluster in the next chain 1 space. I have 2 stitches left, so I'm going to chain 1, skip the cluster, find the chain 1 space, and put a cluster in that chain 1 space. So now we're not going to chain 1, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into this space here. You don't have to do it into the top of the chain, you can actually do it around the chain. I find that it makes it a little bit more snug. So from here we want to repeat the A row and the B row 8 more times. So you'll have a total of 10 rounds of these double crochet clusters in your main color, which for me is yellow. So to start your A round, of course, you're going to chain 2 and put a double crochet cluster in the first chain 1 space. Chain 1 and put a double crochet cluster in the next chain 1 space. You'll repeat that A round and that B round again for a total of 10 times. So we've done 2 already, so you need another 8 rounds. Go ahead and work those 8 rounds and I will meet you back for a color change. Okay, so I'm just finishing my 10th round, putting my last cluster in. You can see this was a B round. It has a really nice mesh feel to it. Just checking to make sure I have 10 rounds, and I do. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and change color here. What I'm going to do, and I'll scoot you down, I've mostly finished my last cluster. For my last yarn over and pull through, I'm going to change over to white. So I'm just going to introduce the white and pull it through those 3 loops just as you normally would. Okay, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that chain 3 to close. You might think this sticks out a little bit, but once you put your first cluster of the next round in, it doesn't really show up at all. So I'll put this cluster in so that you can see that that color change doesn't affect it. See? Can't even really see it. So from here we're going to continue repeating rounds A and B for another 6 rounds. So you want to work through round 22 working A and B. So we're starting with this A round and then you'll do a B round, A round, and then B round. Continue working that and I'll meet you when you've finished. Okay, so I have finished my 6 rounds with the color change, and now we're going to put a couple of rounds of just half double crochet in to start to finish off this mesh. So what we're going to do is go ahead and chain 2. What we're going to do is we're going to put a half double crochet in each chain 1 space and in the top of each double crochet cluster. And I'll scoot you so you can see. Okay, so I have my chain 2. I'm going to put my first half double crochet in that chain 1 space, and then in the top of the cluster I will put my next half double crochet. Okay, go ahead and repeat this around, putting a half double crochet in each chain 1 space and a half double crochet in each cluster. Once you reach the end of the round, slip stitch to the first half double crochet to close, chain 2, and do another round of 1 half double crochet in each stitch. At the end of your second round of half double crochet, you will now be at round 24, and you will still have 100 stitches completed. I'm going to go ahead and finish mine off camera, and I will come back to show you how to start working the handle. So I've just finished my 24th round, which is my second round of half double crochets, and we want to start creating the handle. So what we want to do is we're going to count 50 stitches across the round for our chains to slip stitch into. So we want to count the first stitch that we've just slip stitched into, this one here, and count 49 more stitches for a total of 50. So this is where our stitch marker comes in handy. So go ahead and count that stitch and 49 more across. So your first stitch plus 49 is 50. Just coming to the end here, here's my 50th stitch that I'll mark. And we need to create chains for a base to build the handle off of, and they'll attach in the corners. So go ahead and reintroduce your hook and start chaining. We need 100 chains total. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 100. So I'm nearing 100 chains now. And once again, we want to be careful not to twist our chains before we slip stitch it into that marked stitch. So just make sure they're straight. Find your stitch, insert your hook, and slip stitch to attach. Okay, so you now have a rudimentary handle. We're going to build off of these chains in rounds. You now have 150 stitches, so there's 50 stitches along the body and 100 chains. So that round is 150. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start working this first round. This first round is simple. It is half double crochets. So we're going to go ahead and chain 2 and put 1 half double crochet in the first stitch. We're going to continue putting 1 half double crochet in each stitch across the body of the bag until you reach the stitch that your chains come out of. So go ahead and work your half double crochets, and I will meet you at the chains. So we're just coming up on the chains now, and I'll scoot you down so you can see. What we want to do is we want to turn to work up along these chains. So instead of working around the body, we're just going to turn and work up the chains. You're going to place 1 half double crochet in each chain. So go ahead and work your half double crochet in each chain until you reach the other end. I'm going to go ahead and work mine, and I'll come back at the other side to show you how I close this round. Okay, I'm coming up on the end of the chains now. Just put my last one in, and I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch to the first half double crochet to close. And you can see now the handle is starting to form more. It does have the rounded edge because we've worked in a round, and it's getting to be a bit more sturdy. So we have 2 more rounds on this side of the handle to go. The first round, you're just going to put single crochets in each stitch around. This round is easier compared to the first round because you're just working in stitches. So you chain 1, put a single crochet in the same stitch, and then put a single crochet in each stitch around. There are 2 rounds now, so this 1 single crochet round, and then I like to do another round of slip stitches. If you prefer to not do a round of slip stitches, that's totally fine. You can do a round of single crochet instead. I will go ahead and work these 2 rounds. I'm going to work this 1 round of single crochets that you see me working now, and then a round of slip stitches. And I'll show you what it looks like at the end so you can make a decision. So go ahead and work your 2 rounds, and I will meet you back at the end. Okay, so I have finished my 2 rounds, and you can see this side is seamless and this one has a jagged edge. So we do want to work rounds on this opposite side so that they match. Before we get started, I'm going to show you the slip stitches. You can see them along here. I like that they give a nice clean edge, but if you want a wider handle or just aren't interested in working that slip stitch round, you can go ahead and work the 2 rounds in single crochet instead. To start this other side, we're going to go ahead and join into this corner stitch right before the chains. Okay, so I'm just going to pull a loop through. I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to put a half double crochet in that same stitch. We're working the same 3 rounds. So in this round we will put a half double crochet in each stitch, and then we will follow the other 2 rounds that we've done previously. I'm going to go ahead and work the half double crochets to the other side of the handle, and when I get to that corner, I'll go ahead and show you how to work up the other side. Okay, so I am at the other side now, and we're going to be working into the opposite side of the chains, so the unworked side of the chains. You can find the chain and work at your half double crochet into there. That can be a bit difficult to find though, so if you want something that's a little bit faster, you can work in between the posts of the half double crochet. It's not going to change the look really. If anything, it gives it a nicer, more woven look than it is trying to find the chain. So this will be a bit faster for you. If you do want to work into the bottom bump of the chain, please feel free to, but I thought I would include how to work in between the posts, just in case you'd like to do that. This is the way that I will be working along the back of the chains. I'm going to go ahead and finish my 3 rounds, so finish this half double crochet round, a single crochet round, and a slip stitch round, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, so I have finished the handle. It's nice and sturdy and thick, and you can see that nice woven look from working in between the posts. You can see also it has rounded on both sides, so it looks like a nice seamless handle. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is just to seam the bottom of the bag. So for this, we're going to go ahead and turn the bag inside out. So what we need to do is to get the handle to lay flat. So you want that as centered as possible. So you want your 2 edges of your handles to be on either side. Flatten out your bag, and you're going to want to go ahead and seam the bottom. You can do this basically any seaming method that you prefer. you could use a tapestry needle and a length of yarn and sew it closed. I'm going to go ahead and do one row of single crochets. I'm going to do a standing single crochet, which starts with a slip knot. You put the slip knot on your hook, and in the corner you're going to find the 2 stitches that are on the corner the most. So you'll see there's 2 stitches kind of sandwiched here. These are the bottom bumps of the chains, remember, so that's what we're going to work into. I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into that set of 2 chains, yarn over, and pull through the loop that was already on the hook to create a single crochet. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and work through putting 1 single crochet in each stitch across, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going under 2 stitches so that way it is seamed. Like I said before, if you prefer to sew it, that's totally fine. This is just the way that I preferred to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and continue my single crochet row to seam the bottom of this bag, and when I'm done, I'll go ahead and come back and show you what the seam looks like. Alright, so I'm at the end. I've put my last single crochet in. I'm going to trim my yarn and tie it off. And I'll flip this bag inside out so you can see how the seam looks from the outside. I feel like the single crochets give it a nice sturdy seam. Okay, so you can see it there. You can see the seam runs right across the middle, but it's not too noticeable. It looks just like any other seam, really. Okay, well, with that, your bag is finished, aside from these pesky ends hanging out, and you are all set. I hope you enjoy this pattern. I hope you love your summer tote bag and take it with you everywhere. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love it if you subscribed. You can find links to all of my social media in the box below. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help. I hope you love your summer tote bag, and I hope you have a wonderful day.